Gut-wrenching, numbing, shocking, doesn't begin to cover it. 36 years old. Way, way, way too fucking young. God fucking damn it. I'm John Rentham with my Bray Wyatt tribute video. For those who maybe are unaware, Triple H tweeted out he got a call from the Rotunda family that Bray Wyatt unexpectedly passed away, 36 years old. And I was at a loss for words when I read that. I thought that maybe it was somebody that was tweeting from a fake Triple H account. I thought it was maybe that. I was like, it's a cruel joke, or, oh, okay. No, somebody photoshopped it. No. There's no way this can actually be fucking legit. And it is. His family confirmed it. I want to get a couple things out of the way before I go, throughout his career. Sean Ross Sapp did report that the illness that Bray Wyatt had that took him out of WrestleMania 39 and kept him off of television, cutting short the feud with Bobby Lashley. It turns out the family said he got COVID, and then it exacerbated a heart issue. And even though he seemed to be recovering, unfortunately, he didn't. Fucking didn't. And now his children and his wife are left without a father. And his extended family are without him, and his friends, and I feel so bad for everybody affected. Eric Rowan has lost two, people that he grew close with within a span of 3 years. I mean, Luke Harper, Brody Lee passed away at the end of 2020. And Bray was affected by that because that was his brother in life. And, well, now I guess they're able to do, they're able to have great matches up there. Yeah. Another thing. If I see one of you motherfuckers say anything about the vaccine, say any anti-vax stuff or whatever, I will ban the fuck out of you. You will not be allowed to watch anything on this channel again. Don't fucking think that shit. A man died, his wife and children are without their goddamn father. Take your heads out of your fucking asses. Now, I also want to say that no, I wasn't a fan of the more extravagant cinematic stuff that Bray did. I appreciated the creativity. I thought a lot of it was just way too outlandish, but he was a hell of a promo, and it feels weird to say was, because I was captivated by his promos from the moment that he showed up on the main roster. I was not able to see his stuff in NXT. I've gone back and watched a bit of it since, and to see the transformation from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt, and then the other incarnations and all that, he truly was gifted as, a promo master. He was able to spin a whole lot of stuff. Now, sure, a lot of it got to where it was almost very theatrical and all of that, but he could command a room. I mean, he had legions and legions and legions of fans. A ton of people. People that wanted so badly for him to come back that when he showed up at Extreme Rules last year, hasn't even been a fucking year since he came back. They exploded. And we'll never know what was going to happen, what was, going to happen with this, because real life got, took hold. I also want to say, leave your favorite Bray Wyatt moments in the comments. WWE has set up a way for, I guess on their website, where all the money from his merchandise is going directly to the family, which is a classy move. It's a very classy move. And I can only hope they continue to make merch, release old merch, whatever. That family can get millions of dollars. Just millions. It's not like WWE can't eat the cost. It's not like there isn't more important shit like a family being taken care of, a family through no fault of their own. Lost somebody that, that wasn't just provider. He was their rock. And the kids growing up without a father, and the other thing is the fact Mike Rotunda, IRS, no parent should ever have to bury their child, and IRS has to. And no parent should have to fucking do that. And I feel bad for Bo. Barry, Kendall. I know Black Jack Mulligan is no longer here. Just the Wyndham Rotunda family tree, extended family tree, at the very least, they were made to be in wrestling as far as either athletically or promo-wise. And realistically, Bray, Wyndham Rotunda was, the best of the bunch as far as a promo. Let's go chronologically through his career, folks. I'm sorry. I just, being a big fan of somebody or not, just seeing somebody on television and knowing that they were cut down in the prime of their life, and knowing how badly Brody Lee's death affected Bray. Fuck. So he was born in May of 1987 in Brooksville, Florida, which I assume is in the northern part. I don't know. Father was Mike Rotunda. Brother Bo Dallas. Bo, leave! Who I assume was Uncle Howdy. I don't know. We'll never know. If Bo has been rehired, hopefully they, keep him on for a while. Give him something, just give him some, whatever. Give him all the time he needs and all that. And hopefully they're there for the Wyndham Rotunda family. Barry Windham, Kendall Windham, Blackjack Mulligan, all that. He debuted in FCW, the WWE version, in February 2009. He teamed with Bo, and they were a pretty good tag team from what little bit I've been able to see. I can imagine teaming up with your brother was quite the thrill. During the second incarnation of NXT, by the second incarnation, I mean the second season, the game show aspect that really wasn't all that great. He was Husky Harris. Cody was his Prody, as it were, which sounds like some kind of dog food. Let's just move on from that. And, being Husky Harris, he, I believe, what was it, a Sherman tank with a Ferrari engine, if I remember right. I think that's what it was. He ended up being part of the long-running thing with Wade Barrett and helping, Cena side with Barrett. He's forced to do Barrett's bidding, and then that went tits up. We get the split Nexus. I believe he was part of the CM Punk version, but then he was written off television just before Mania 27, and then he was sent back to developmental. Vince probably thought that he was overweight. I mean, he's thought that about a lot of times. I don't know specifically, but nevertheless. He returned to FCW, tag title run with Bo, and then in April 2012, we had FCW become NXT, or around that time. I mean, I don't remember the exact timeline necessarily. It's not important for the purposes of this equation. But he became Bray Wyatt. He was repackaged as Bray Wyatt. Waylon Mercy like shirts, hat, beard, all that and everything. Except Bray was a better worker than Waylon Mercy, a.k.a. Dan Spivey. A much better promo, too. And then he tore his pec during this, but he rehabbed it, and he would be on there cutting promos, doing stuff while he was rehabbing. And then Luke Harper, a.k.a. late great Brody Lee, and Eric Rowan showed up. Or Harper and Rowan. I mean, they would get, they would have full names, and then they'd be down to Harper and Rowan. Then they'd be the Bludgeon Brothers and all that. And God, I hope Rowan has a support system around him. I really do. I really feel bad for the family is really what it is. I really just feel so bad for the family. He made his return in February 2013 from his torn pec. And then the vignettes for the main roster. They were still the tag team champions in NXT, I think. But vignettes, I think it was late May 2013, started with the rocking chair and the swamp wrap stuff and all that and everything. Follow the buzzers. And then the lantern entrance and all that. It was cool. Initially, it was cool. There was a lot of cool shit about Bray. Follow the buzzards, all that. Random attacks. It would just attack people at random. Hence why I said random attacks. The Ring of Fire match with Kane. Not the best introduction for Bray, but you know what? He beat Kane. That meant something. They still could have done the whole thing a whole lot better. Survivor Series, all it just kept, going and going and going We had Survivor Series, TLC. They were feuding with Punk and Bryan, and then Bryan was joining the Wyatt family, and then it turned out to be all a ruse. Then he had the 2014 match at the Rumble with... I'm sorry. He had the 2014 match with Bryan at the Rumble. That was the highlight of the show. They stole the show, but it was petty theft, because that whole event wasn't very good. But that was easily the best match that Bray had, especially up to that point. I would argue one of the top 5 matches that he ended up having during his main roster run, because he was allowed to go out there. There was a Sister Abigail into the barricade, a lot of great shit. I gotta rewatch that match at some point. And then after he had beaten Bryan was on the ascent, and then the Wyatt family feuded with the Shield at Elimination Chamber, the last WWE pay-per-view before they had the network. And now they're on the cock. I'm trying for a little humor here, guys, because this is difficult to get through. And then attacked Cena. That built up the feud where Bray wanted him to embrace the hate. This was after Kane wanted him to embrace the hate. Nobody could get Cena to embrace the hate. I'm going to say here, they should have had Bray beat him at Mania. They didn't. They wiped out any momentum that he had. I'm not saying Cena should have embraced the hate, but Bray should have beaten him. Tell me that wouldn't have meant something. Or you could have had Bray break the streak, and you could have Brock destroy Cena there. I'm just saying, Bray would have benefited much better from breaking the streak. I'm not knocking Bray. I'm saying it was a stupid idea to do that. Sorry. The Extreme Rules thing where the kid was doing the dubbed in voice. He's got the whole world in his head. He's got the whole world in his hand. And then the payback match, he lost. Well, I mean, he beat Cena technically in the cage match at Extreme Rules. But did he really win? Did he really? Lost a payback in the last man standing match. Money in the Bank match, that didn't go his way. He lost to Jericho, but then beat him at SummerSlam and then in a cage match a little bit later on. Bray's momentum was never the same. They would have needed to rebuild him for a year to justify it. He set Harper and Rowan free. They went on singles runs that did not last all that long. Harper was an Intercontinental Champion. Rowan faced off against Big Show in the stairs match. That was something. Bray, meanwhile, was... Bray had that feud with Ambrose, which was strange. Exploding TV and all that. But Bray, and don't get me wrong, Bray, they tried to supernatural it up way too much when he could just be a creep that hit hard and did really, really good promos. But he had the feud with The Undertaker that he had to build because Undertaker hadn't been seen in a while since last year's WrestleMania. And Bray apparently really badly hurt his ankle, but kept the match on, worked it. I bet that was I can't only imagine how much fucking pain he was in because he even did the spider walk. And that's how athletic the guy was. Even if I didn't care for some of the matches that he had later on, because it kind of got just to where we knew Bray was going to lose, he could do some impressive stuff. The spider walk is creepy. The problem is they never had him win any of his feuds or any of his feuds that mattered. It just missed potential with Bray. Missed fucking potential. So he beat Ryback at Payback. Not that Ryback in 2015 meant much, but hey, at least Bray got a win. And then stopped Roman from gaining the briefcase. Anyone but you, Roman. Anyone but you. I do remember that. And reunited the family. Braun Strowman was brought in. And then Braun was set free pretty goddamn quickly. Taker and Kane beat Harper and Rowan at Survivor Series. And then we had the Team ECW, which I believe was the Dudleys. Tommy Dreamer and someone? Who the hell was the other person? It was 4-on-4. I'm genuinely trying to remember. Wait, Rhino? Was it Rhino? It was Team 3. It was the Dudleys, Dreamer, and Rhino. I think it was Rhino. And then he was part of the run-in thing with Rock beating Rowan in 6-8 seconds or something like that. Cena showed up. It did nothing for the Wyatts, and it seemed like, holy crap, we might get a face turn with the Wyatt family. The next night, the next night or the week after, it was either Raw right after WrestleMania or the next week after, but they beat the League of Nations, and Bray did the call his shot thing where he did that right after he hit Sister Abigail. He did the call his shot. Roman hit the spear. One of the coolest goddamn moments of the last 10 years. That was cool shit. Great camera work, by the way, but also just great shit. And unfortunately, Bray suffered an injury, and they just forgot about the idea instead of maybe going back to it. Nope, couldn't go back to it. Also, I think Roman got suspended for 30 days, but I digress. Then they had the New Day feud. They had the Wyatt compound match that it was cinema. I mean, they basically just did the Hardy final firm deletion thing, whatever the hell it was back then. And then he was teaming with Harper because Braun got drafted to Raw. I think Rowan was either around or he's injured. I think Rowan was injured. But he had the Harper team and then the potential feud, the teaming with Orton, and the feud with Orton. He won the WWE Championship during this time. Him and Orton were tag team champions. I believe if I remember right, it was Elimination Chamber 2017, and unfortunately, he didn't hold the title long because they decided to gimmick the whole damn thing up at WrestleMania 33 and put projected bugs and everything on the mat. And yeah, I mean, he was WWE Champion. That was good. I was thrilled for him. I was like, okay, it's a little bit, is it too late? Maybe they can give him a long run, and it ends in 7 weeks. House of Horrors match after, I believe, Orton was on SmackDown and Bray was on Raw. And then Orton drops the Jinder, and I can only imagine how that made Bray feel. Because Bray, he didn't have to be everybody's cup of tea, but he was over for quite a bit of that. He was over enough that people were still popping, but then people would get deflated because he wouldn't win. The feud with Rollins, and then the feud with Finn that got cut short because I think meningitis? I think is what it was. They were going to possibly have Bray as Sister Abigail or a variation or whatever. And Finn was going to be the pumpkin demon at No Mercy. And then later, he just, he would kind of bounce around everything. He would team with Matt, or he would feud with Matt, then he would team with him. They'd be the deleter of worlds, because he was the eater of worlds. Bray was. And then he would take time off. He would take time off. I think Hardy took time off for injuries, and I'm blaming Vince here because I'm very certain that Vince probably just didn't see anything with him. When you could have utilized him, you could have built him back up. Team him and Harper together, because you had Harper and Rowan, and missed potential with Bray. Missed potential. And then the Firefly Funhouse stuff, which I admit I was not the biggest fan of, but it was interesting, and it was creative, I will say that much. And it was very obvious. He was doing the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood, but it was going to turn evil, all that. And eventually he did turn evil. The Fiend was born, but those Firefly Funhouse vignettes got a lot of attention. A lot of people were memeing them with respect, but also really enjoying them. There were a lot of people that thought there was a deep narrative to it, and whether you thought they were good, bad, or indifferent, they got your attention. They got your attention. They got my attention. And then the Fiend was born. The Fiend was just to attack people. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, he would have the Tom Savini style mask and the Tom Savini style championship that they sold for a lot of fucking money. That being said, the Fiend was marketable. Had a cool theme. Faced Finn. Faced others. Then they had the Hell in a Cell match against Rollins. That fiasco, through no fault of both of those guys, that match was not well received. Because they made The Fiend a horror movie villain, which is fine, but then they did a non-finish in a Hell in a Cell match. And then he won the title of Crown Jewel. So big moment. Okay, he won another championship. This is good. This is good. And he feuded with Bryan, and then he lost it to Goldberg. He was also Funhouse Bray during this time against The Miz. Yeah, he had a couple decent matches with Bryan, and then lost it to Goldberg at Super Showdown, I think. And then the Firefly Funhouse match that he had with Cena. He got his win back 6 years later. It was in front of no people. I didn't necessarily care for the Firefly Funhouse stuff, but it had some neat callbacks. and had stuff that people would enjoy. And I'll give them credit. They certainly put a lot of effort into having all the Easter eggs and references, and they give us the whole thing with the Vince puppet. It's such good shit. So that's at least one positive there. And then he feuded with Braun, the Swamp match, and then beat Braun at SummerSlam, and then lost the title to Roman at Payback the next week. And then he feuded with Orton again, the Inferno match. Alexa Bliss was involved in this whole thing as well. And Brody's death necessitated him taking time off. If I remember right, it happened... I think he was going to come back maybe at the Rumble or something like that. I'm trying to remember the timeline. But I know after that he took time off because Brody's death really affected him. Naturally, when you lose somebody that's a brother in life to you, that makes sense. And also, Bray had a family and wanted to take some time off. Then he showed up at SummerSlam. Mania 37, he was showing, well, actually, he showed up at Fastlane. He did that, and he was the resurrected Fiend with the Ivan Ooze mask for some reason. Creative mask, I'll say that much. And then Alexa came out of a box-like structure, and according to Michael Cole, and then the Fiend lost to Orton. Bliss was like, I don't need the Fiend anymore. And then Firefly Bray came back, I think, 2 weeks after Mania or something like that. Wade, I'm coming back, bye, but bye for now. And then he was released on July 31st, which surprised me, even though I imagined his contract was hefty. I'm like, really? You couldn't find something to do with Bray? And then he returned to Extreme Rules 2022. He got a hello pop, a hello promo on the next SmackDown. He was telling the story. Wherever the story was going, we don't know. He feuded with LA Knight. There were some there were some meme-worthy moments there. And Uncle Howdy got introduced, which I imagine was Bo Dallas in a flash or a raincoat. And then his feud with Lashley, unfortunately, got cut off. And I wasn't necessarily too certain how Lashley versus Bray was going to go. And, we'll never know. The last match that he had was a Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. Wrestling, of course, takes a back seat to the fact that the man passed away and his family is now wondering what they're going to do. WWE's going to do what they can to take care. And I hope a bunch of people buy merch. If merch gets restocked at some point, when my finances are better, I'll see what I can do. Or maybe find a way to donate directly to the family, something like that. It just depends on finances, but I'm just glad the family's going to be taken care of. But just, regardless of whether you were or weren't a fan of Bray Wyatt, this is truly shocking, and let's honor the family's privacy. And don't you get anti-vax in the goddamn comments, or fuck you. But no parent should have to bury their child. No children should grow up without a parent. Things do obviously happen. Health issues come up, but the bottom line is Bray made an impact on a lot of people, and many fans will forever be grateful. There are a lot of people that are deeply affected by this. It's truly shocking. Rest in peace, Bray. Rest in peace.